Today we're covering what is probably the most debated topic in RV black tank management. Should you liquefy solid waste or should you not? Which method works best to get as much stuff out of these tanks and keep them as reasonably clean as possible? Today we're going to find out. So when it comes to RV tank treatments, there's a lot of different options. There's manufactured products, there's homemade recipes. There's also a lot of different opinions on what to do and what not to do. And among all of this information, we really only have a few pieces of the puzzle. We know what's going into the tank and we can see on a limited basis what's coming out of the tank. But what we can't see is what's happening inside the tank as it's being dumped. And probably the most important thing is we can't see what's left in the tank after it's been dumped. So here's what we're gonna do. I'll be using two identical 32-gallon storage bins. These are made out of polyethylene. RV black tanks are made out of polyethylene, so there should be no variation there. I've added flange fittings to the tank that will allow us to connect a Camco Rhino Blaster Pro fitting, which has a built-in gate valve to dump the tanks as well as rinse the tanks, which is something we'll talk about later. I sealed everything up. It's not pretty, but it will withstand 30 gallons of water pressure. I've positioned the tanks at a slight angle down towards the drain to mimic the angle at which most black tank bottoms are designed. I even installed vents on the lids so the tank contents breathe the same way they would in an RV. And I've gotten the all clear from my septic service company that I can dump into this pipe here. So we have what I think is a pretty accurate representation of a black tank system in an RV. The things that are missing, like tank sensors and a black tank flush port, will obviously have no effect on what we're testing today. The reason for this test today is because there are two schools of thought. The first argument is that if you don't break down solid waste, it will not fully exit the tank. The idea is that solids need liquids to be pushed or pulled out of the tank. As the tank empties, the water pressure that's pulling everything out decreases. As the water level lowers, the solids that are still in the tank begin to make contact with the bottom of the tank, creating friction. Both of those factors combined mean that you'll still have solids remaining in the tank. The idea that all the solids don't fully exit the tank is not a myth. There are already videos that show this happening. However, this leads to the second argument. Liquefying solid waste is not necessary if you add a surfactant solution. A surfactant is something that when added to water, it reduces the surface tension among all the different items in the tank. In simpler terms, a surfactant is just something that makes everything inside the tank slippery, so everything slides out nice and easy, even as the water pressure decreases and the friction increases. In today's test, we'll be comparing a manufactured tank treatment that liquefies solid waste, and we'll be using liquefied RV toilet treatment. I'll be comparing that to the homemade treatment recommended by Clean Tank. Unlike liquefied, the homemade treatment is not going to break down solid waste. It's not supposed to. Instead, it's going to act as a surfactant, and I'll show you how to make that treatment a little bit later in the video. Okay, let's start the test. First things first, every time we dump a black tank, we're putting water back into it. Anywhere from 5 to 10% capacity is good. We're using 32-gallon totes, so let's add about 3 gallons of water to each tank. Next, we want to add our treatments. 1 ounce of liquefied will treat up to 40 gallons. The other tank is going to get the surfactant mixture. To make the solution, you start with a clean and empty 1-gallon jug. Add 40 ounces of pine sol. The next ingredient is 8 ounces of Calgon bath pearls. Then we are filling up the rest of the jug with water. Cap the jug and shake to mix everything together. Now that our solution is complete, we're going to add, per the recommendation on Clean Tank's website, 4 ounces to the tank. They do say that you can add up to 8 ounces if it's extremely hot outside, but it's not hot, it's about 70 degrees here. They also say to add 8 ounces if it's gonna take a considerable amount of time to fill the tank. That's not gonna be the case in today's test. We're gonna have this tank filled in about 2 days. I'm sure many of you have seen dog food used in black tank videos in the past. While dog food may be good to see if a tank treatment's going to break down solids, there's a problem with dog food in our test today. The size of dog food does not accurately represent the size of what would normally be in a black tank. Now, I'm still going to use some dog food to represent some of the smaller stuff in the black tank, but we're also going to use peeled bananas. Remember, this is not a test to determine if our tank treatments break down solid waste. What we're doing today is comparing how solids exit the tank versus how liquefied solids exit the tank. And to get the best and most accurate results, we need solids in our test tank to accurately represent the size, shape, weight, consistency of what would normally be in a black tank. And I think bananas are an extremely accurate representation of those features. I'm going to equally add some dog food, bananas, septic safe toilet paper, and water to each tank. Instead of doing this all at once, I'm going to do this occasionally over the next 2 days, you know, in the interest of filling these tanks as they would be filled in real life. I'll be adding to the tanks based on normal bathroom usage for about 3 people and plenty of water being used while flushing. I'll circle back when our tanks are about 80% full, which would be the ideal time to dump the tanks. Okay, while we're filling up the tanks, let's talk about the actual cost so far. The Pine Sol was $7.58 for 40 ounces, and we used all 40 ounces for the mixture. The Calgon beads were $15 for 16 ounces. You're only gonna need 8 ounces for the final mixture, so your final cost is $7.50. The total cost for our surfactant solution is $15.08. That is not counting the cost of the jug, which I'm assuming most people will just repurpose the jug, and the cost of a gallon of tap water, which is insignificant. There's 128 ounces in a gallon. The recommended dosage is 4 ounces, so you'll get 32 applications out of 1 gallon, or 47 cents per 4 ounce application. If you double the solution up to 8 ounces, you'll double your cost. A 32 ounce bottle of liquefied is 25 bucks, so each treatment is 1 ounce. That works out to about 78 cents per application. So based on the prices that I paid, and again, that may change depending on where you get your ingredients, the surfactant solution is about 31 cents less per application. But with liquefied, you get the bottle you need, and it also comes with a built-in measuring applicator. There has been 2 changes to our setup. Neither will affect our test, but I think full disclosure is important in experiments like this. I added a couple 2-bys between the tanks and the plywood to more equally spread the stress of the weight over the plywood, but both tanks are still at the same angle. I also added bricks to hold the covers on because we've been having some windy days and I wanted more support than the plastic latches. Okay, the tanks are full. Before we dump them, let's take the lids off and take a look inside. We do not charge a membership fee to watch any of our videos. They're all free for everyone to watch. Our channel sponsors help us keep the lights on because I refuse to charge our viewers, and I want to keep it that way. So I'd like to thank RV Snap Pads for sponsoring today's video. RV Snap Pads have become one of the most popular RV products over the last few years, and now they're available for travel trailers. Snapjack simply replace the metal foot of your scissor jack, giving your stabilizers up to 274% more surface area, and that means more stability and less sinkage into soft ground. Made from recycled tire rubber, they provide better grip than a metal foot, especially on loose and uneven ground. Snapjacks protect not only your RV landing gear, but prevent scratching, gouging, and rust staining to your driveway or campsite pad. Use the link below and get 10% off your RV Snapjack order. This is the tank with the liquefied toilet treatment. It did exactly as I expected. It broke most of the solids down. It seems to have not liquefied all the bananas, at least the ones most recently added, I'm assuming. But that's okay, we have a very full tank of liquefied solids, which is what we want for our test. By the way, over the 3.5 days, each tank got 8 bananas. 3 were added whole and the rest were cut up. Whatever I did in one tank, I did in the other tank. The same goes for the dog food, the water, and even the toilet paper, which was equal to the sheet. And I know these tanks look super full, but I used a lot of water each time I added to the tanks. Even with all of this floating on the top, it's all water underneath. The tank is probably at least 90% water. Moving over to the surfactant tank, this also looks like I thought it would. Nothing is broken down as expected. The dog food is saturated. We've all seen what happens when dog food gets bumped over into the water bowl, so nothing unexpected here. So we're gonna dump the liquefied tank first. This is when the drain is under extreme pressure. Once this water level drops below the pipe, the pressure will drastically decrease, and at that point it's going to take much longer for the remainder of the tank to drain out. So while the liquefied tank is draining, let's drain the surfactant tank. We're going to see the same thing. Once the tank level drops past the pipe, the pressure and movement is going to slow down. And here is what is most interesting to me so far in this test. Solids stop moving towards the drain and out of the tank long before the water level even reaches the bottom of the drain pipe, and also long before they even make contact with the bottom of the tank. If solids are on the other side of the tank, which they will be, there's just never enough force during the entire dumping process to move solids over to the drain and out of the tank. This is actually very interesting. And then after a few minutes, the rate at which the water exits is so slow, it's not moving anything out of the tank. Okay, let me pause this for a second and talk about something both tanks have stuff left in the bottom. Forget for a minute the two treatments that we're comparing, and let's go back to what I said earlier in the video. The idea is that solids need liquids to be pushed or pulled out of the tank. This is without a doubt confirmed. Solids absolutely need liquid to be moved out of the tank. And as the water level lowers, the pressure decreases, and things just get left behind in the tank. So at this point, we have a lot of solids left in the surfactant tank. Any solids in the liquefied tank that haven't had a chance to fully break down yet are also left in the tank. And I think this is the most important thing we've seen so far in this video. Solids stop moving towards the drain pipe and out of the tank long before the water level even got to the bottom of the tank and completely drained. So from my test, the surfactant solution does not work to make everything slippery, so it slides out of the tank. Liquefying waste also doesn't get everything out, but it clearly gets more out than not liquefying waste. The next step in today's test is going to be very eye-opening to, I think, a lot of people who haven't rinsed their tanks before. But before we get to that, we need to talk about a few things. An argument I've heard prior to making this video was that by liquefying solid waste, it turns some of the contents of your black tank into a pasty material. And I will definitely agree with that argument. The argument goes on to say that you should not liquefy waste because these are not septic tanks, they are holding tanks. We are liquefying solid waste to get it out of the tank. We've seen in the video, all solids do not exit the tank on the first dump. In fact, I think an argument to the argument would be that if we don't liquefy waste, we're then left with a bunch of solid waste in the tank because the surfactant solution did not help to move anything out. We're going to circle back to this argument after we rinse the tanks because that's when we'll actually know if the paste in the tank is more of a problem than the alternative, which is having solids in the tank. So the next thing I want to talk about is the fact that Clean Tank recommends adding 4 to 8 ounces of the surfactant solution to the tank after you dump. I know the question is coming, so I'll address it now. Why did I choose to use 4 ounces instead of 8 ounces or 6 ounces or 7 ounces, whatever? First, I wanted to be fair. I wanted to compare the minimum recommended dosage of liquefied, which is 1 ounce, to the minimum recommended dosage of the surfactant solution, which is 4 ounces. Second, Clean Tank states that this surfactant solution will work best in a tank that has been recently hydrojetted, which is a cleaning service they provide. These tanks are brand new, they've never been used, so they are perfectly clean. Third, these bins will hold 32 gallons. Now there are some micro campers that definitely have black tanks smaller than 32 gallons, but once you start getting into your 20 to 25 foot travel trailers and larger, you're gonna start seeing black tanks averaging around 35 to 40 gallons, and they even go up to 50 or 60 gallons depending on the size of your RV. For all of those reasons, I chose 4 ounces. We're comparing the minimum recommended dosages. We're using brand new clean tanks, and our tanks are on the smaller side. If 4 ounces is even mentioned, I can't imagine better conditions for that minimum recommended amount. And the last thing I want to cover before we do the rinse is why I decided to put the flange on the corner of the bin. And the simple answer is that's where it fit best on the bins that I got. But it doesn't really matter because black tank drain pipes are positioned all over the place depending on the RV you have. Now, the bottoms of these bins have rounded edges. So I was not able to put the tip of the drain pipe at the bottom of the tank. The pipe is about 0.6 inches from the bottom. If the drain pipes were located at the bottom of the tank, we're still not getting any significant amount of additional solids out of the tank because when the water level reaches the middle of the drain pipe, the water pressure has dropped so much at that point that the only solids exiting the tank are the ones near the pipe. I was very surprised to see this, and I think it's happening for 3 reasons. The solids throughout the tank are touching each other. They have surface tension against each other, essentially creating a larger mass of solids, which is more difficult to move. There's also friction of the solids against the sides and eventually the bottom of the tank. And third, there is gravity pulling the solids straight down. All of those factors combined overcome the ability of the low water pressure at that point to move solids out. In fact, having the drain pipe a little bit higher than the bottom of the tank creates a buffer between the bottom of the tank and the solids, which also reduces friction, and it may be allowing more solids to exit our test tanks than what we would see in real life. With the drain pipe at the bottom of the tank, of course, yes, we're going to get a little bit more water out over time, but again, solids are done moving long before the water level reaches the bottom of the drain, regardless of its location. I think there's this huge misconception that once you drain a waste tank, everything inside that tank immediately flies over, down, and out of that 3-inch pipe. I know that's what I would picture in my head, but that's not what happens in real life. And the reality is, once the water level reaches reaches the drain pipe, no matter where it's located, everything pretty much stops moving except for liquids. So we're going to backfill and rinse the tanks now. I think you're going to be very surprised. So I'm connecting a water source to the Rhino Blaster flush inlet. I have a vacuum breaker at the end of the hose. With the drain valve closed, I'm turning on the water and starting to backfill the tank. I'm only going to fill so the water level is a little bit above the drain pipe. And this is what it looks like in the tank as the water is being pumped in. Then I'm going to turn off the water and immediately dump the tank. Now, this is what I'm talking about. Now we are getting somewhere. We got a lot out of what was left in the tank after just one rinse, and we didn't even have to fill the entire tank. I'm going to do the same thing on the liquefied tank. I'll fill it up about 20 to 25% so it's past the drain valve, turn off the water, and I'll immediately dump. So this is interesting. The paste is gone. The tank is noticeably cleaner after one rinse. If you use more water to backfill these tanks than I did in this video, they'll probably even come out cleaner, or you can simply rinse a second or third time. But we still have a test to complete, so let's compare our tanks after one rinse. There are still some solids in the surfactant tank. There are no solids or paste in the liquefied tank. Now you can dump 25 times if you want, and eventually your tanks are going to be as clean as they're ever realistically going to be. But after one low volume rinse on both tanks, my personal choice is using a tank treatment that liquefies waste over a surfactant solution that really does not do anything to help move solids out of the tank. So what did we learn from today's video? I know I learned a few things. Number one, solids need liquids to move. Second, we've learned that liquefying waste gets more out of the tank after the first dump than it does using a surfactant solution and keeping it in solid form. Third, we've also learned that liquefying waste does not get everything out of the tank. It definitely does help, but the liquid we produce is not as free-flowing as water. Fourth, we learned, and I think this is the key, this is the main point of this video, backfilling and rinsing your tank just one time after you dump it makes a world of difference. So if anyone wants my opinion, I am liquefying my black tank because it definitely helps. It is not the complete answer to the problem, but it gets more out of the tank after the first dump, it gets more out of the tank after rinsing. So I do recommend liquefied, but I would equally recommend rinsing your tanks at least one time after you dump. As far as the tank cleaning service that Clean Tank provides, personally, I've never had it done on my RV. From everything I've heard, they are great people. They do a phenomenal job of cleaning waste tanks. However, the solution that they recommend just didn't work in our test today. In fact, and I'll leave you with this, I've gotten a comment prior to the release of this video on the same subject from a viewer who claims to have been using the Clean Tank method from day one. Now, I don't know how long this viewer has been using it. He seems to be a fan of the surfactant, but also states he has to backfill and rinse to get everything out. Ladies and gentlemen, liquids move better than solids, and flushing is the key. I hope you guys learned something today. I know that I did. I'll put links to all the products in this video down below. If you want to see more videos like this, please consider subscribing, and we'll see you in the next video.